The waiting game. After Cisco's big reveal, traders brace for earnings from Walmart. In today's cover story, how 3D printing could revolutionize the healthcare industry. And breaking up is hard to do, especially when you are rich and famous. Plus, summer shenanigans invade the box office. First Business starts now.
You're watching First Business. Financial news, analysis, and today's investment ideas.
Good morning. I'm Angela Miles. It's Thursday, August 14th. In today's first look, the Dow's positive performance. The blue chips are back in the green for the year. The index rallied 91 points, the Nasdaq 45 and the S&P 13. Gold added on $1 and oil 2 pennies. Cisco skids on an earnings miss. The stock fell about 1% after the close. The CEO sees improvement coming from restructuring, which includes cutting 6,000 positions. Ebola drug hope stash. Shares of Techmera slid to $16 after the company gave positive comments about trials of its experimental treatment of Ebola, but deflected questions about its actual use. The stock shed 12% after the bell. And Procter & Gamble is out with a swash machine. It's a dry cleaner and a washer for homes. It'll cost about $500. Enjoy. What will today bring? Trader Todd Horwitz of Average Joe Options has a few thoughts on that. And Todd, good morning. It seems like the only way is up with this market, but we are moving on thin volume. What do you think about that?
Good morning, Angie. You know, I am concerned about the thin volume. I'm concerned about yesterday's retail sales numbers. I'm concerned that the average American is making 23% less than they were making 5 years ago. Yet we continue to climb the wall of worry. But certainly I would think somewhere here, 1950 to 1960, I would be looking to put out shorts again in the S&P.
Your strategy has been to sell the rally. So are you doing that today?
Yeah, I'm going to do that if we can get up to those levels. I had pegged 1940 to 1960 is a level I'd want to get short. And as we go up here, I'm not going to sell yet, but as soon as I feel that we've reached that pinnacle or 1960, whichever comes first, I'm going to short them again, yes.
Do you think traders are at all worried about what Walmart will say with its earnings report today?
You know, I don't think so. I think Walmart is pretty much priced in. I think we all know. And one of the things about today's technology, it's hard to get a lot of news by people. There's very few real surprises when you get down to it. And the numbers are already calculated. I think we've got a pretty good idea what Walmart's going to be.
Good enough. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Retail sales for the month of July came in basically unchanged from June. Some on Wall Street were quick to call that number weak because it fell shy of estimates. But retail analyst Paula Rosenblum warns not to get overly judgmental.
I don't quite understand why this is happening this way. I've been in retail my entire life, and I've never heard of all these seasonally adjusted numbers and comparing this month to last month. The traditional way that one measures sales is year over year. And year over year didn't seem that bad, although it wasn't great.
Investors were troubled by earnings from Macy's. The stock fell about 5% Wednesday. The department store chain missed estimates and lowered its outlook. Still, the CEO projects sales for the second half of the year at Macy's will be back on track. Chuck Coppola joins me now.
Angie, Amazon takes a swipe at Square. The e-tailer is releasing its first mobile payment app and card reader, Amazon Local Register. It'll compete directly against Square and other payment operators such as PayPal. The systems are becoming more popular as small businesses use smartphones or tablets to run customers' credit cards. And IDC projects mobile payments could top $1 trillion within the next 5 years. Amazon shares gained $6 in trading yesterday.
Some 200 employees of Massachusetts-based grocery chain Market Basket have been told to return to work this Friday or be out of a job. Last month, workers walked out after CEO Arthur Demoulas, popular with workers, was fired by his cousin in a battle for control of the company. The ousted CEO has a major stake and is trying to buy out rival shareholders. The struggle has led to a customer boycott of the chain's 71 stores in New England. Wednesday, Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick appealed for workers to return to their jobs.
A slowdown on the farm. That's what Deere & Company says hurt its latest earnings. Profits fell 15% and the farming equipment maker is cutting its forecast for the year. It says commodity prices are sinking, forcing farmers to scale back on equipment. Now it's expecting 2014 equipment sales will fall more than originally anticipated. Deere stock slid 2%.
The Ukraine crisis is taking a toll on the Eurozone. Factory output fell 0.3%. Analysts had predicted growth of 0.3%. The disappointment is playing out with the euro falling against the dollar. On the upside, the economy in Greece is improving after enduring 6 years of recession caused by the financial crisis. Along with deep debt, economists now predict Greece may have modest growth in the second half of this year.
In China, homes are a tough sell. Home sales slipped 10.5% for the first half of the year. Analysts are concerned that if the trend continues, it could become a threat to the overall economy. To attract potential home buyers, restrictions on owning a second property are being lifted. Reports say it's yet to spur a buying spree.
A new study finds homeowners insurance companies are zoning in on people with bad credit. InsuranceQuotes.com discovered consumers with poor credit on average pay 91% more for the insurance than those with excellent credit. Laura Adams says many consumers are unaware that insurers are keeping tabs on credit scores.
Insurance companies are really interested in consumers' credit. This is because they found a relationship statistically between credit and the amount of claims that consumers file. There is data that shows consumers with poor credit file more claims.
To brush up a poor credit rating, Adams suggests automatic bill pay to stay timely on monthly bills.
The Postal Service is putting pressure on Congress. Agency head Patrick Donahoe tells CNBC that Congress needs to pass legislation to pre-fund retiree health benefits. It says it needs about $5.7 billion to do this and is stressing that it doesn't have the money. Earlier in the week, the USPS said it lost $2 billion in the second quarter. Donahoe is also pushing to go from 6-day mail delivery to 5-day.
Guilty pleas are coming from a former MIT dean and his son. The two are accused of running an alleged hedge fund scam. Their scam was discovered as investigators were unraveling the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme. Reports say Gabriel Bertrand and his son Marco have agreed to plead guilty to criminal charges. The pair promised investment returns of 16 to 23%. Instead, prosecutors contend investors lost at least $140 million. The father and son team could face up to 5 years in prison.
Kellogg is making a greater effort to go green. Popular maker of cereals, Pringles, and Keebler cookies says it will reduce carbon emissions in its supply chain by 15 to 20%. It will also establish a water reuse program in a quarter of its plants. The company says climate change is putting hundreds of millions of people at risk of hunger.
Attendance numbers are still plunging at SeaWorld. The theme park posted a 4.3% drop for the first half of the year. SeaWorld downplays the effect of the documentary Blackfish, which portrays cruel treatment to its orca whales. However, the company does admit a bill in California to shut down killer whale shows is hurting business. SeaWorld stock sank more than 32% on Wednesday.
In today's cover story, three-dimensional imaging is being applied to help doctors visualize and practice medical procedures before performing them on patients in the OR. And a Chicago company is on the cusp of seeking investors for its entry into the 3D arena. A 3D biomedical imaging and prototype company called ProofX is helping transform how doctors prepare for surgery. Using images from CT scans and MRIs, it's fabricating parts of a patient's body that serve as a type of template before surgery.
For example, the blood vessel may go underneath the muscle, which is a much more complicated procedure. For another person, it might be laying on top, which is much easier. They just move it. So there are always these individual variations.
In the last 2 months, it's been used in 3 surgeries at one Chicago area hospital. And there are plans to create as many as 10 per month to help cancer specialists and their patients visualize tumors.
It's a way for them to have less time in the OR because they already know what they're going to be up against and how to proceed.
And the more information we can give them going in, obviously the quicker the surgery may occur, because they'll already be prepared, and that leads to less time in the operating room, which tends to lead to better patient outcomes.
ProofX incorporated last year with about $2 million. Elisa and Prasad hope it becomes one of the companies chosen to join Chicago's newly announced Health Tech Hub, where ProofX may customize medical tools with replaceable tips, for example, in addition to creating images of the human body.
For ProofX, the big dream is to be the FedEx Kinko's of the medical community, putting locations nearby advanced medical centers, clinics, research facilities, so that they can have access to it.
And we haven't even touched bioprinting, which is the other amazing 21st century technology that'll happen. printing stem cells to actually create organs, replacement organs or replacement tissue.
Within the next few weeks, ProofX will present its business plan before venture capitalists.
AT&T is making room for next generation iPhones by dangling deep discounts on iPads to lure in customers. For a limited time, AT&T is offering $200 off on iPads to customers who pay full price for an iPhone 5S or 5C. The new iPhone is expected to be unveiled next month. Apple acknowledges iPads are not selling as briskly as in the past.
United Airlines is giving out bonuses for being on time. It says eligible employees get a $125 bonus for the month, plus additional cash incentives for customer satisfaction. 75% of United flights landed on time last month. That is below the airline's 80% goal.
The economic calendar is right on time with initial unemployment and continuing claims, along with export prices, import prices, and natural gas inventories on the earnings calendar. A big day for retailers. Nordstrom, JCPenney, Kohl's, Applied Materials, Walmart, and Red Robin all turning in results. Still to come, why our movie critic thinks an inside job at Lionsgate could hurt ticket sales for Expendables 3. Plus, why power couple breakups are in a league of their own. And after the break, the one time you should ignore the IRS. Stay with us.
Despite plenty of warnings, Americans are still falling for this scam. The IRS reports con artists are preying upon taxpayers by impersonating IRS agents on the phone. The agency first warned of the scam last October. Since then, 1,100 victims have been cheated out of a collective $5 million. FYI, if the IRS really wants to get in touch with you, it starts with an official letter, not a threatening phone call.
Well, divorce can lead to the loss of big money. Even a prenup may not be enough when high net worth couples divorce. Gemma Allen of Ladin Allen Family Law Practice in Chicago is here to explain it. Gemma, why is it so different when it's a power couple divorcing?
It's exciting when it's a power couple, but it's different because there's so much at stake. And there's so much at stake in some of the cases because both parties are successful, which is wonderful, but it complicates everybody's financials. And even a prenup may not have anticipated all the child support issues that can rise.
Does it also mean they have more money to battle it out in court?
You know what, that's an interesting point too. They can afford the battle, although my experience is the higher net worth couples usually spend the money before the marriage planning so they don't have to have the expensive battle after and when the marriage breaks down.
And yet they can still end up back in court spending money.
What? They can, because you can challenge a prenup. You may or may not win, but you may create some leverage for a better bargain. And then, of course, the children's issues cannot be dealt with in a prenup in a dispositive way because the court then protects the children.
Is publicity good or bad when it comes to these high-profile couples?
You know, my vote is generally no for the couple, maybe good for the lawyers who are involved, because the publicity is kind of fun for them, but it's not good for people when their hearts and their fortunes and their reputations are at stake.
What is your advice here?
First of all, have a prenup. That's my number one advice. Number two, even with a prenup, try and work around a conference room table rather than in the public arena.
Thanks for coming on, Gemma. Always a delight.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
Coming up, Cisco after earnings, why a trader believes all signs point to buy, buy, buy. And will audiences go for silly, serious, or Sly Stallone this weekend? Movies and Money comes your way next. Expendables 3 opens this weekend, but some people were able to get an early view. Our movie man is here to explain what's going on here, Eric.
Well, the film was leaked. It was pirated. It was put online by someone most likely associated with the studio or someone involved with the film, because this is not the case of some bozo taking a video camera into the theater or a smartphone and taping it. You know, it hasn't been released yet.
And then selling it out of their trunk.
Exactly. No, this was actually a very clean copy. So it was taken from some sort of master or DVD screener. that was made from the film. And this is sort of the problem with that studios have with piracy, is that a lot of the cases, these are usually inside jobs. This is not normally the case. People aren't losing money because people are videotaping, stuff in the theater. Who wants to see a grainy copy like that?
So you've not viewed the film yet, but
Not yet.
I'm hearing some mixed reviews, really kind of negative, not great reviews.
Yeah, the Expendables films have not exactly been well reviewed. The first one, kind of mixed. The second one, a lot more people were down on it. And they've done very well for Lionsgate. 280, 300 million. With the overseas dollars, and I think this one will do very well. But that's the thing you want to look at this weekend, is that if the film, maybe under 22, maybe even under 20 million, the studio is going to have, something to point at and say, look at what happened.
Also coming out this weekend, The Giver and Let's Be Cops. Okay, we have to talk about the Let's Be Cops, those trailers.
I would love to talk to you about it, but they didn't screen it for critics.
Ooh, bad sign.
They didn't screen it for critics. They're getting people on Twitter to do the reviews for them. So
social
let
media.
them review it.
Okay, well,
Yes.
Here's what happened last weekend at the box office then. Coming in the clear #1 winner, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, followed by Guardians of the Galaxy, Into the Storm, The 100-Foot Journey with $11 million, and Lucy with $9 million. I hope to go see The 100-Foot Journey this weekend.
Yeah, that had a nice little turnout. People showed up. Spielberg and Oprah produced that movie, so they got a couple people interested. But the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we were here talking last week that we didn't think that was going to, jump Guardians of the Galaxy. A lot of people sort of had those two films neck and neck, and look what happened. It was the second week in a row that people showed up and the analysts were completely wrong.
That's what the audience seems to want.
I don't know why. I'm surprised that, the Guardians of the Galaxy I at least understood. There was sort of a build-up to
Our
that.
director saw it. She said it's cute.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No, the Galaxy.
Oh, Galaxy. Yeah, a lot of people like Galaxy. I'm kind of mixed on it, but I understand why people like that movie. The Turtles, I don't understand. I don't understand why people might like this movie. I don't hear a lot of people positive about it. I'm actually at the point where I think the Michael Bay movies that he's produced and directs, I think he might be shelling out the money himself, because I don't know anyone who actually will admit to liking any of these movies, but people keep showing up in droves, so this money's coming from somewhere. I don't understand it personally, but we're going to see. Last week we talked about a lot of big drop-offs. We're going to see what the Turtles do, but Paramount has already greenlit a sequel for 2016 for June. So it's sort of a good news for the studio, bad news for the paying customer.
Thanks for coming on the show. We'll see you next week and find out what happens.
Feel good.
Still ahead, why the sell-off in Cisco Systems could turn into a buying opportunity. Find out how in Chart Talk. Matt Kavanaugh, CMZ Trading, is here to break down the earnings coming in from Cisco after the close last night. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning.
Well, it was back in February. You and I were talking about Cisco post earnings, and the stock fell during the after-hour session. And then what happened, Matt?
Well, I bought some. I actually bought the dip. I think I finally learned after all these years, and it ended up being an okay move.
And you never know what could happen here as well. The company is cutting 6,000 jobs. And overall, the earnings were not horrible, so what would you do now?
Well, I did lighten up on my position just a little bit, just because it has rallied pretty well. The turnaround story continues there, but I think that Cisco, they're doing an okay job. It's a tough business environment for them, but they're a great company. They've got some good things going on, and also they're going to buy back another $8 billion worth of shares. So I think that the fact that they've got all the good things going on, they pay you a nice dividend, and they're buying stock back, that should all be, pretty supportive to the stock.
Why do you think investors tend to have this knee-jerk reaction to sell as soon as Cisco comes out with earnings?
Well, I don't know if it's because they usually surprise and the surprise is not good enough, but, it could be one of those old sell the news type of deals. And if you get a chance to buy a good company on sale, you should. And a lot of times it pays to do the opposite of what the herd does.
That's definitely it. Take the other side of that trade. So any other stocks you're watching, Matt?
Right now we're just trying to stay nimble, try to get into some of these names that aren't quite as loved, and be ready to fire in case something else happens in this market.
Well, Matt, good to have you on the show this morning, and I hope you make more profit on Cisco if it's possible.
Thank you.
That's it for now. Coming up tomorrow, it's a Traders Unplugged Friday. The guys turn into bad boys as they go wild for investing in banks that break rules. Thank you for watching today. From all of us at First Business, have a great Thursday.